All right, to get you caught up, in the last episode, I did a full teardown of the entire thing in the C5 Corvette to get us to where we are now to put the cam in. So if you haven't seen that video yet, make sure to go back and watch that first. If you caught up to that, let's get started on our Low Boost Films track weapon cam in our C5 Corvette track car. Just got to do a couple more things before we put this cam in. Take the lifters out, take the timing cover off, and then take the old cam out, and we should be able to put the new one in.
Don't forget to do the 2 bolts at the bottom of the timing cover. This one will be discarded. We're going to get a new front seal, whole timing cover that's coming with it. We're going to take the oil pump off, and then we'll take the sprocket off, timing chain. All this stuff is getting replaced as well. While you're here, you might as well just do it. So got the whole timing set. So this is where this job can go from a simple one to a from a not so simple one to a very, very long one. See this bolt right here? That is your oil pump bolt. We gotta take that out. If that drops into the oil pan, God help me. I'm gonna do it off camera. I'm gonna have my finger underneath it. I'm just basically gonna flick it out this way when it's out all the way. But I'm gonna do that one first. I wanna make sure I get that shit out. I'm using 0 gloves for this because I need all the dexterity my body can handle. It doesn't drop out. There she goes. Let's get the rest of it off. There's a gasket. We gotta make sure we got a new gasket with the new one. This pump was fine. It's just, while we're here, you might as well do it. A little slack. A little bit of slack, nothing crazy. This does make it easier. I turned the crank a little bit. You want those 2 dots aligned. Now they moved over a little bit. I'll have to do it again. You want these 2 dots aligned, and that's how you know you're at top dead center. And I'll do that before I finally take the timing chain off and everything else. Old sprocket. All right, with that out, the gasket looks good. I did get another one of these, but the gasket looks pretty good. I like it. If you put a bolt in, that helps you take the cam out. All right, so the key is when you do this is to not look at it. You don't want to look at the cam bearings when you take it out. That's the key. Put it back. All jokes aside, the cam looks in great shape for 120,000 miles. So anybody want a stock LS1 cam? The track weapon. Obviously they put oil on it, but we're gonna hit it with our own sauce. Before you stick it in, you gotta make sure to lube it.
That's what she said.
Hit it with that lube. This will keep it well and lubricated long after we put it in, but before the oil pressure and the oil gets to it inside, we just want to make sure that it's good. And she's in. Now that the camshaft is in, we have all the other parts that we have to put on the car. I got everything: head gaskets, different head bolts, push rods, lifters, LS7 lifters, timing cover gasket, timing cover. Everything else is in here that we're gonna need to put this back together. So we're gonna go ahead and do that now. First on the list is my camshaft retainer plate. The other one was fine. I just got a new one with a brand new gasket. We'll put it on and call it that. Now the benefit to doing a camshaft swap like this with taking the heads off is you don't have to worry about dropping a lifter into the oil pan because you remove the lifters before you put the camshaft in. But if you don't, they make these slides that go in here that can kind of hold it in. I've never done that, so I don't necessarily want to mess with that now. But I got my new cam retainer plate. I'm just gonna go ahead and put that on and we'll thread on our bolts. Then I gotta double check on the torque specs to put this back on. The camshaft retainer bolts get torqued down to 18 foot-pounds. I don't want to screw up, so I'm just gonna have it like this. And that's dead nuts on. So that's That's top dead center. Now, you want the cam, you can't screw up either. But the cam will line up itself exactly how it's supposed to when you have it on there. So you want to make sure that the cam is also in the top dead center position as well. But you might have to turn the cam too, because the cam is also keyed. So I just happen to have it line up. These get tightened to 26 foot-pounds. Next is the oil pump. We'll rotate it like that. Don't forget, we're gonna put the bolt in underneath, and that's gonna be the tricky part. Pickup tube at the bottom is 106 inch-pounds. I don't have a torque wrench that goes that small, that low, so I just kind of use the old wrist torque wrenches and tighten it down. So next up, I'm just gonna hit all of this with a razor blade, some WD-40 and some brake clean, just to kind of clean up all of this, and just stuffing some, you know, just paper towels in there so we don't get any like sludge or grime in the onto the cam or anything else or into the cylinders. I'm gonna clean it all out, but razor blade, baby. Razor blade rebuild is how it works. I might use a Scotch-Brite pad too, but this, you don't want to use sandpaper or anything more than a Scotch-Brite pad, because you want this surface to maintain the same level for sure. Okay, so I didn't go crazy on the cylinders, but they cleaned up. Now that I have the surface of the heads pretty good. Now I got BTR LS7 lifters. I just got them from Summit. All the LS7 lifters are basically the same, but they package them in packing grease, which is good. We are gonna have to soak them in oil, and they have instructions for how to do this too. But you definitely want to soak these in oil prior to putting them on the car, just to kind of prime them. And I'm going to clean them off and then soak them right in oil for a little while. And then we'll take it from there. I'm going to put a little bit of gasket maker here and a little bit of gasket maker there. That way to seal up that so it doesn't leak at all. I also just put it around the rim where the gasket's going to be, because you just want to be sure that you're sure that it's not going to leak again. All right, so timing cover's on. I'm going to wait to torque everything down until after the harmonic balancer is on, and we'll take it from there. All right, so next we're doing the lifters and the lifter trays. Pop them in there good. They recommend getting new lifters or lifter trays if you're going to do lifters, just because these should fit in here nice and snug. They shouldn't pop out at all, because that could actually cause them to rotate when they're in there, and then that could cause absolutely catastrophic failure if that happens. These have little holes. They say it doesn't matter what direction they point. I just have them all pointing in the same direction, the little hole in the front of the lifter for oiling. So I have all of them pointing to the front of the car, and we're gonna load it in. Should go in pretty snug. Shouldn't be a lot of wiggle. Shouldn't have to force it in there either. They say tighten these to 9 foot-pounds, but I'm only gonna hand tighten them. 9 foot-pounds is not a lot. Now, before I put the heads on, I've been trying to figure out why my car has been smoking like crazy after I drive it for a little bit. So, come to find out, I thought it was because it was leaking oil and the oil drain plug or the oil dipstick or something. No. It was because the headers were touching this and it was melting it. So I'm gonna try to move it, tie it back a little bit, but it's in there pretty good. So what I did was I took a spark plug wire holder, because these things are really heat resistant. I cut it out and then cut it in half, and then I'm gonna wrap it like this and then put like a wire tie around it so that it doesn't let off any more heat right onto it, because I think that's where that was coming from. I'm gonna use like a regular exhaust wrap wire ties and tie it right up, and I feel like that's gonna help prevent it from getting too hot and smoking. Don't need to be pretty, it just needs to work. I think that's gonna work.
In the next episode, we're going to put the cylinder heads on and finish this whole thing out and try to fire it up. So make sure you guys stick around, hit the subscribe button. In the meantime, check out these videos that I already have ready to go.